Meeting is being recorded. Just click that. As you're all familiar, there's a slew of different types of systematic reviews. In the last couple of decades, there's been major developments. There's been lots of new sort of types of reviews that have come out of this Pandora's box when you start talking about systematic reviews. They've added some really necessary methodological ways of doing reviews. And so methods, as well as sort of the amount of reviews that are being produced is just grown exponentially. So that's a really welcome development. At the same time, as far as what do we reckon are systematic reviews, how do we do systematic reviews, this hasn't changed all that much. The expectation is still that systematic reviews need to be transparent. They need to be done in accordance with a protocol. Preferably people publish their protocol. And when they're describing in their protocol what they're planning to do, this is in accordance with a methods guide. And of course, this is, as it always has been, in order to keep the risk of errors or biases in the results at an absolute minimum. When we started preparing for the work that we're ready to prepare for you, to present for you today, we started off by looking in detail at the various typologies of systematic reviews that have been published. In the last 10 or so years, a little bit more than that, there's at least 18 published typologies of systematic reviews. These typologies, they describe that there's either sort of at the low end 4 types of reviews, or at the high end as many as 48 different types of systematic reviews. So many efforts to try to describe this family of systematic reviews, how they relate to each other, and they group systematic reviews slightly differently, which is why there's a range of sort of types described in these typologies. The latest typology was published in 2025, and the work was led by Dr. Nussbaumer Streit. This group of researchers, they said that there's 5 sort of families of evidence syntheses, or the family includes 5 different types, more specifically, that there's systematic reviews, there's qualitative evidence syntheses, mixed methods reviews, overviews of reviews, and what they term big picture reviews. Any of these can be rapid, and they can be living reviews. What they're underscoring is that all types of evidence syntheses should follow a systematic and structured methodology. Interestingly, none of these typologies say that you need to follow a methods guide. So we decided that it would be very useful, to create a bit of an overview of different methods guides for these different types of systematic reviews that exist. So we set ourselves the aim to develop an evidence and gap map of methods guides that had been published in the last 15 years. And based on the readings we did of typologies, we decided it wasn't possible to do evidence and gap map of absolutely everything that could be considered systematic reviews, whether that's between sort of 4 or 48. So we made a bit of a pragmatic decision and decided to describe the methods guides for 13 different types of systematic reviews. And we've listed those in the box, as you can see here. You find that the standard systematic reviews of effect, of etiology, prognosis, and so on. We also included umbrella reviews, scoping reviews, realist reviews, rapid review as its own type, mixed method systematic reviews, evidence and gap maps, and of course, health technology assessment. At the right side of the slide you're looking at now is the report that we published together with the evidence and gap map, which is an interactive map of the various methods guides. And there's a picture of the four of us who did this work. So I'm presenting along with two of the other authors. Ingvild, unfortunately, was not able to present with us today. And I'll give the floor to Heid, who will talk us through the methods we followed.
Yes, thank you. So we have created an evidence and gap map. An evidence and gap map is a type of systematic review, typically based on a broad research question. The evidence and gap map aims to present an overview of the research, highlighting what exists of research that answers or illuminates the question and what does not exist. The objective is not to describe, synthesize, or analyze results, but to present the extent and type of research conducted. In some evidence and gap maps, methodological assessments of the studies presented are included as well. As with other systematic reviews, the approach for an evidence and gap map is structured and transparent. The ultimate goal of the map can be to provide this overview, but it can also be to serve as a foundation for further one or more focused and in-depth systematic reviews. The evidence and gap map can be graphically visualized using, for example, the EPI software, as shown to the right on this slide. This is a map of randomized controlled trials and systematic reviews regarding policing interventions, with the RCTs marked in green and the reviews marked in blue. And the size of the bubbles represent the number of studies. Next slide, please. So our approach to developing this evidence and gap map followed current guidelines and consisted of these steps. First, based on the research question, we formulated the inclusion criteria. The publication we included had to be guides describing methodologies, detailing at least 2 steps in the procedure for conducting that specific systematic review. We included all types of publications, except for books that had to be purchased, published between 2010 and 2025 in English or a Scandinavian language. And 2, a systematic literature search was conducted in Medline and OpenAlex. And then 2 individuals independently read references and full texts. And from the finally included publications, that is the methods guides, we extracted the following data: type of systematic review, discipline, that was the basis for the guide or the authors, type of publication, and publication year. And finally, we wrote a report where we included all the results in the tables and created a visual, digital, and interactive map in EPI Reviewer, which Ingeborg will now present.
Yes, thank you. From the main results for the method guides, we have identified about 104, or exactly 104 methods guides. Sorry. And looking at the bars on the right hand, we see that the number of methods guides has increased over time, from 2010 to March 2025, which is approximately a 15-year period. The bar chart shows a relatively modest start during the period 2010 to 2014, followed by a marked growth in the number of publications from 2018 and onwards, with a peak in 2024. This pattern illustrates a steady increase in the production of methods guides, which may indicate a strengthened commitment to and need for systematic method development and dissemination. The methods guides are published in a variety of formats. Of the 104 publications, 59 are articles published in scientific journals, representing the largest share, and in addition, 18 articles were published as part of articles series. We also identified methods guides in 15 electronic books, 5 books or book chapters, and 7 publications, which we categorized as other. These included reports and web resources. This picture reflects a broad approach to knowledge sharing, we think. And it's not surprising that a substantial proportion addresses systematic reviews of intervention of effects, which with as many as 43 publications in this category. Here you can see an overview of how the publications are distributed across different types of evidence synthesis. As mentioned, methods guides for conducting systematic reviews of intervention of effects dominate with 43 publications. These consist of 33 journal articles, 4 books, 1 book chapter, and 5 publications in other formats, such as reports. Furthermore, the table shows that scoping reviews and umbrella reviews each include 12 methods guides, rapid reviews 11, and mixed methods systematic reviews also 11. And for systematic reviews of qualitative studies, we identified 9 methods guides, and for HTAs 5, and the same for realist reviews. At the bottom there, we have the more specialized types of systematic reviews, namely those focusing on diagnosis, prognosis, etiology, and prevalence. And we found relatively few methods guides specifically tailored to these types of reviews. We frequently use, in our organization, we use the method of evidence mapping or EGM. And for this type, we identified only 3 methods guides. And overall, our results illustrate a steady and diversified effort in developing methods for systematic evidence synthesis, providing a foundation for decision support and professional development. In our report, the results are presented so that the report can be read independently of the map, among other things. And we have sorted the methods guides into separate tables for each of the 13 review types. As Rigmor said, our report is then published in Norwegian, but there is an English short summary in the report, and with a digital link or a link to the digital map, which is also in English. In the report, we have some illustrations and explanations like the one you see here. Here you see a bubble chart, similar to what Heid showed, but this one is from the current EGM of methods guides. You can see that the types of evidence synthesis are listed in the rows and publication formats in the columns. The bubbles indicates scientific domain, red represents health sciences, green social sciences, and blue education. And finally, yellow indicates cases where no specific category could be assigned. And the report includes this link to the platform EpiVis, or Epi Visualization, giving everyone access to the digital map. And if we now click on this map, I hope you can see the digital platform. I will briefly show you how you can retrieve information from it according to your own needs. First, I want you to show. Sorry. Now I think you can see it better. Yes. First, I want you to show that we have pre-constructed 2 maps of the 104 methods guides in the middle here, differing only in that the one on the top includes publication year, while the second includes scientific discipline as well. So if we click on one of the maps, you will see the matrix, and I will make it a little bit bigger, giving you the opportunity to explore which publications belong to each type of evidence synthesis. As shown here, it is, for example, interesting to note that for systematic review of prevalence, there is only one methods guide, which was published before 2016, as you can see here. While for intervention of effects up here, the bubbles grow larger, indicating more methods guides across a variety of formats in recent years. By clicking on the bubbles, you gain access to the reference and the abstract as well. If you go further into the record like this, you can also go have access to the abstract. When you click back home here, you come back to the that brings you back to the starting point. And finally, I will show you a little bit on the left-hand column here on the screen. You can create your own list and export to Excel. Like clicking here, you have the possibility to make tables, or you can make some bar or pies. Yes, I think that was the most important things to show you in at the platform. You can explore it more on your own, and then we Very sorry about that. Some technical problems. I will catch up, and I hope that you will see my presentation very soon. Okay, it won't. Somehow it will not be shared. Ja. Men hvorfor får jeg ikke I'm so sorry. I think I hope that you will see the presentation now. Okay, bravo. I have just told you very shortly about EPIVs and EPI, a little bit about site license to catch up, and the costs and the access to EPI. And here's the link. And I just wanted to say that EPI Reviewers is a not-for-profit service. So just explore it. And then I will give the word back to Rigmor. Yes.
Perfect. And sorry again for the technical trouble. We're back online, everybody. All right, let's see if I can wrap this up and then enter what I hope will be an interesting discussion with you who are present at the webinar. So as far as strengths, we wrote a detailed protocol. We published it ahead of doing the work. And of course, we used a systematic approach and followed a methods guide of how to do an evidence and gap map. So that's as far as strengths. We found it incredibly challenging to have a balanced, sensitive, and specific search for literature on methods reviews, because as soon as you start searching for methods and reviews, you get a lot of reviews. We just wanted methods guides for reviews. So it was really difficult for the search specialist to develop a good search strategy without getting a lot of noise in the hits. There are very few mesh that can be used. And in addition, it seems like there's quite poor indexing. So some methods guides we fear we may not have identified through our search. To give you an example, where we work at the Norwegian Institute of Public Health, we have a handbook, a guide called How We Synthesize Research, and that was not picked up in our search. We, of course, searched Medline, and most of the methods guides that we identified were related to health, and many of them came from the search in Medline. We didn't find a lot of methods guides from other scientific disciplines. As Ingeborg and Heid mentioned, there's a dominance of health methods guides. So possibly there's something we could do with our search in order to identify more methods guides from other scientific disciplines. We will be very happy to hear your viewpoints on that. Another last thing I want to mention as far as weaknesses is We had as an inclusion criteria that in order to be included and meet our criteria for methods guide, it had to be more than one step described. So for example, if there was something that described or called itself a guide, but only described the literature search, we did not include it. So of course, the risk here is that there's some relevant information about types of systematic reviews that we missed, that maybe especially are different only with respect to one or two steps as compared to what I would consider a standard systematic review of effect, such as mixed methods systematic review. We think there is some added value in our evidence and gap map and making it completely available to you. These are methods guides, 104 of them in a digital library. Anyone with a web access can access this library, browse through the methods guides, pick and choose whatever you want to use, create some of your own maps. And we think having this sort of repository or digital library of methods guides can be really useful for not just researchers, but also students and supervisors of students who want to make themselves acquainted with methods guides for various types of systematic reviews. Pick maybe the ones that's the newest one or the one that's closest to the scientific discipline they find themselves in. We have some experience with doing evidence and gap maps from before, so we know that updating a digital library like this one is fairly easy to do. And we think that having now started this digital library is a good starting point. It's suitable as sort of the first preliminary step in doing more methods development or examinations with respect to guides for systematic reviews. Okay, so what's next? So we've developed this digital library of methods guides for 13 different systematic reviews. What we'd like to explore with you is what really is a good methods guide. We've started some preliminary discussions within our little team here, but we're very curious to hear what your viewpoints are. And another interesting aspect to discuss is, do you have any viewpoints on how is it possible to assess quality of methods guides? And also, how can we best identify methods guides? As I mentioned, I fear we might have missed some methods guides, and especially when it comes to methods guides that may have developed in disciplines that are not sort of in the health, broader understood, so public health and social care and so on. We are planning to update the evidence and gap map, perhaps wait till 2028. We're curious to hear your viewpoints. Is that waiting too long? But we definitely do want to update it, especially if we get feedback that this is a useful sort of digital library. And we would be very, very happy to hear your feedback, not least suggestions of methods guides that we may have missed. Again, we fear that we may have missed some. So